talking about straining for that logo on the side of your helmet and not the name on your back.
Yes, sir.
Because we know what it represents. It represents everybody here you see and everybody you can't that we've talked about. I'm here to strain with you, man. I swear to God, I'm here to strain with you. Let's go. Everything you got, strain with everything you got. Let's go. Bills on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
You're listening to the Off Tackle with John Fina show with your host, Joe Miller. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Off Tackle with John Fina show. I am the host of the Off Tackle with John Fina show. My name is Joe Miller, and that guy over there is John Fina. And can I just say, even though they didn't have, that's Kyle Williams in that opening kind of like sequence, because they didn't have tape recorders when you played. That's how long ago it was. But I just want to say that that's got to, if there was a vote, that's got to be one of the best show openers there is. Like every time I hear that, I'm just like ready to run through a wall. Doesn't it just get you? It gives you all the feels, like the goosebumps just happen on the arms.
Which is a good thing too, because you and I are bantering back and forth before you start the show, and of course you have the button, so you say your insensitive comment last, and then I'm like seething, and then the music comes on, and then then I feel better, and I forget about it till now.
till this very moment. John, it's been a minute. It's been a little bit since we've been out here on the Buffalo Rumblings airwaves. How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good, man. I'm feeling really good. How you feeling?
I'm doing all right. You've got to clue me and the Mafia in on something, which is what in the hell is Fina Friday? And is it a national holiday? And why are you, of all people, being celebrated?
Yeah, I knew it would come from you, the smallest among us with the biggest jealousy. Wow. Listen, all I know is when you heard about it, you had the chance to go Miller Monday and you botched it.
This is Miller Monday.
It's Mimi Mondays. Mimi's getting her day. She has usurped you on the M.
Well, we're lucky because Mimi is far better looking than I am. So
that is 100% true. So I don't know how this. I can't remember. I think maybe it was Mark, Bill's Mafia 617. And if you want your T-shirt, the John Fina 70, the JF 70 shirt, reach out. I don't know how it started, but it's hilarious, and I'm enjoying it. I'm a little bit, kind of. I don't know, a little red faced, a little embarrassed, but I'm also a little bit thrilled. And so for those of you who haven't seen it, that's what it looks like. It's super cool.
It is great.
That's hot off the presses. Mark's doing patches and stickers. Pretty soon we're going to have underwear and suppositories.
Oh my God.
I mean, yeah, it's a whole line.
Condoms as well. You can do
whatever it takes. Yeah. It's a rollicking good time.
I don't remember what show I was on or who I was being interviewed by, but I was talking to somebody and they were just talking about this show. And I was, it has just been cool to be a part of the ride. And I know that I'm kind of like the lever in the ride in the sense of like, I'm the vehicle, like you came on the show with me, but it's just been fun to see the Mafia just embrace you and you become this celebrity again. I don't know why you're not verified. That's a whole other conversation, but it's been great.
Apply for verification.
You do have to apply. Yeah. I just very much have appreciated watching, like I said, the Mafia embrace you and you embrace them back all at the same time, especially when and you've admitted it on this show, when you left, you didn't really feel super embraced by Bills fans. So it's just been very, very awesome to see.
I mean, I don't know if that's entirely true. I mean, the problem was, it's a differentiation between having only one source of media, WGR, and all their job is to throw gasoline on fires, and I happen to be the fire that year, and you just gotta. But I think by and large, that's why social media is wonderful for the great people out there who get to send out their positive vibes, which we always talk about it. Be kind, do the best you can to be welcoming. So I think maybe this is like some sort of therapy for me too, but I'm a reasonably decent guy, but more than anything, I like to cut it up. I find people interesting in the stuff that they post. I've always like, man, I don't post cool stuff like, Amanda or Alyssa or, Steven or anybody like that, and I'm just like, dang, I'm just not very creative, but I can comment.
Speaking of Amanda,
kind of a lurker.
You are a little bit of a lurker, and I do remember now who it was. So all that to say that it was Scott Birchtold that I was talking to just watching you kind of like rise in mafia lore, and he's enjoyed it too. And what a character that guy is.
Scott's awesome.
You talk about a guy. There's people in this world that you're going to meet, not many. There's a few that you're going to meet that have loved the life they've lived. And Scott is to the nth degree. He has, you just get the vibe from him that he has loved every minute of the life he has lived, which, reminds me of a story. Oh yeah, this one time. And this reminds me of a story. Like, it's unbelievable.
He has got an incredible and innate ability to turn everything on its ear and take a negative situation and have you laughing and giggling about it in a second. Even when I go back, and catch up with him every now and again, we go back and forth. And I'm like, he'll tell me a story that I'd never heard before. The guy's full of them. And just the fact that he has Vince Lombardi's desk is like the most amazing thing. I mean, it's like, like somebody at the stadium was like, you got to clean out warehouse B, and he's like, wait a minute. Someone's going to put this to the curb.
He said he got it at an auction. He told the story that they were auctioning off all this crap from, like you said, some warehouse at Lambeau Field the year that he was there. One of the couple of years he was there. And then he paid whatever he paid for it. And he tells you what it is later. And somebody then comes to him, and I don't remember who the person was, but like very serious. I think it was the coach at the time. And he's like, how much did you pay for this desk? And I think it was like $12.50 or something like that. 24 bucks. And he's like, you're gonna have to sell me this desk. Name your price. And he's like, I can't do it. I can't sell you this desk. Like, it's just unbelievable. What a story. But that's just like one of thousands, like the thousand. And I didn't even get to ask him about. And I'm standing there with him in the lobby, and I said, there's so many things I want to ask you. I was like, but there's no time. And a lot of it is about that you have all these great stories, but I want to hear about like Marshawn hitting somebody with his car down on Chippewa. And that whole thing in the way that I want to hear about the hard times too.
What happens? What happens on the 5 stays on the 5.
But he did such a good job, and it's funny because I said this on my show. I villainized him for the longest time. I always thought that he was the one keeping the coaches from giving us real answers. So when Dick Duran or whoever's like, I really need to look at the tape, I thought it was always him, because you'd always watch Doug Marrone. Well, you'd watch him, and it started with JP Lossman when the heat started coming on JP.
Was that like minute 1 or minute 2?
Right. The question would come in, and he'd be standing at the podium, and then you'd see JP go, right? And he's basically getting a signal from Scott. Can I answer that question? And then it started happening with coaches and stuff like that. And when you're a bad franchise, that's what his job is, right? To protect. And it was interesting to me when he told me, and you probably know, he told me a story about you. I'm not going to say what it was.
Yeah, you better never. Hey, Mark's in the comments, and I want to give appropriate due. Mark, who started the Fina Friday fiasco flim flam freak out?
So Mark, who started the Fina Friday stuff? So while we're waiting,
I want to give appropriate due.
Yeah, there's a delay. There's a delay.
No, I'm not telling any stories that.
No. I'm not saying. But it's interesting to me that he'll walk.
I know how you work, Joe. You just like you want me to embarrass a former teammate?
No. He was just telling me that he walks people to the podium, and he says these are probably the questions you're going to get, and more times than not, he's right, which is interesting. So he just told me some stories about that. As far as that goes,
isn't that an indictment upon your ability as a journalist?
What do you mean?
If Scott can guess all the questions, you're going to be
right.
asked.
For sure. I'm not asking the questions, but you're.
Oh, come on.
I've never been in there to ask a question. So still waiting for Mark to respond. But as soon as he does, I'll throw it up there. So anyways, all that is a preamble. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, you're watching the Off Tackle with John Fina show. And with me, Joe Miller, and I get the awesome opportunity to sit next to that guy on the Buffalo Rumblings Vodcast Network. And we're going to talk about is there anything to talk about? Did you go somewhere Thursday? Did you go somewhere this weekend?
I'll tell you, it's not about where I went. It's about from what I escaped. So, it's not my first rodeo. I scheduled work in Vegas, with the job that I work. So I was out in Las Vegas, and then in the afternoon on Thursday. Was it Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah. So Thursday, I caught up with some of our fantastic members of the Bills Mafia, Alyssa and Sarah and Wayne and LaShawn and Spence and Dan, the smoker guy. He's got 3 names. Is your name Dan or is it
Buffalo Freddy?
Freddie, right? It's like, is it Freddie or Dan? And he just kept saying, it doesn't matter. Here, have a cocktail. So, yeah, right. So it's Vegas, right? Time stands still. The whole time-space continuum doesn't exist. And I knew that I had to get out of there. So I fortunately, I spent the rest of the weekend raising money for charity here in Tucson. I belong to a big group of guys that we throw one giant party. We get like 6,000 people to come. We raise between like $400,000 and $600,000 for charity. We do it once a year. But back to the draft. So,
well, let me stop you real quick. So
yeah, go ahead, stop me.
So Mark Johnson responded. He said, "Sorry for the delay. After I started making the shirts, Kara Rendell coined the term Fina Friday." And real quick,
that's right.
John, what is Jerry O up to these days? And I'll just say, go back to, was it October or November? We actually did a show with Jerry O and Glenn Parker. So both of them were on this show. So you can actually go back and check that out.
It's
archived. You can check it out.
We have the technology.
So back to the draft. So talk about your experience, both with the Mafia and just, dude, that Vegas experience, to me, that's what they should do every year. Forget Cleveland, forget Nashville, forget Kansas City, Vegas.
I can forget all those places very easily.
I'm just saying, Vegas.
No, I agree with you. I think the crowd first of all, it was enormous, but I caught up with the Mafia, and we went out to lunch, and just like getting to know everybody and just talking and telling stories and learning more about one another. It's fantastic. I mean, to me, that's the true benefit of being on Twitter and being associated with my former team. It's really more about the people now, because I mean, none of the players would talk to me. They've probably seen it like, no. So I got to hang around with the group that I mentioned, and then we kind of went walking around on the strip, and it was amazing. Just the crowds were starting to amass, just walking up and down the strip, and everybody wearing their favorite jersey, repping their teams. And I had a couple of PR people in my group who were like, "Hey, you don't know who that guy is, do you?" And they all looked at me and they're like, "No idea." Then don't care. Which, for my dollar, I just want to kind of hang out and watch people. So then we ended up making our way over, and I thought that's where the draft was going to happen, because, I had no idea. But then we kept walking at 400 miles, and then we ended up at the area where the draft was, and it's out.
Can I stop you? That was the most confusing thing to me that I have not gotten an answer on. You're talking about the floating stage in front of the Bellagio, which they talked about on the NFL Network morning of Thursday.
Yeah, something happened there. I don't know what it was.
They were leading up to it and saying, "Oh, we've got this floating stage. It's going to be amazing. That's the ramp that the guys are going to walk on, blah, 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 blah." And then it was like, "Oh, but the winds are starting to pick up, and now they're worried about like the integrity of the stage." And then they moved it to this other venue. At least that's what I thought. And the venue was tricked out. And it's like, there's no way they threw that venue together in 5 minutes. First of all, second of all, there's no way 50,000 people were fitting in front of the Bellagio.
No, you're right. So maybe it was like a bait and switch. They were kind of like, it was pretty fantastic. I'll say. I mean, the weather was okay. I would have preferred it about 10 degrees cooler, but I mean, there were some people who were melting. I mean, I'm already a desert lizard, so I survived it all right. But I mean, there were a couple of people I was like, uh-oh. But they solved that problem by making alcohol hard to get. So nobody was like getting drunk and passing out.
Nice.
But they had like a really cool fan experience area, which I totally avoided. But there were all kinds of things going on over there. So you could, that were more kid oriented, more fun kind of stuff. And then you kind of crossed over and went up some steps, and it was just like a huge concrete pad where they probably set up tents for various convention sites and things like that.
Right.
And then they had this open dome thing, like a snail shell or something.
Sure. Turtleback.
There you go, like a turtle. And then it just started getting ramped up. Like fans were talking smack to other fans, and in a very nice, kind, and congenial kind of way, mostly. But but it was pretty funny. I was just kind of, and I was just doing the fly on the wall kind of thing. I wasn't wearing any Bills gear at all.
Wait. 6'5", strikingly handsome, blue-eyed Italian man. Fly on the wall does not work.
Insofar as an observer of the human condition, and in the event that somebody tried to, pull something on one of my people, right?
Drop the elbow.
If Wayne or Sarah or Alyssa needed something, I could quickly, pretend I was security. Take them down. But it was fantastic, and people just kept packing in there. It was like sardines, just pack. And that was an amazing experience. It was really cool, and I agree with you. I'll say this: outdoors is a little sketchy, man. It was hot. I saw some people there, especially some women. His hair just went flat, and then the makeup was running down, and that's probably not pleasant.
Right.
My makeup was fine. It was waterproof and everything.
That's a struggle. I'm glad you had a good time. I had FOMO so bad.
Yeah, well, it was pretty cool. So, the legends, the NFL legends, put together this reception, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go check it out, see if there's anybody there that I'll recognize. I walk in, and I'm like, everybody's older than me. I don't recognize anybody, but they had seafood. I was like, and drinks, great bars, had an awesome time. And it was at the top of the Delano, I don't know, one of them hotels. And the view out to the strip was just incredible. I mean, from, I don't know what floor we were on, 70th floor, something like that. It was incredible, the view. And I'm just standing there checking out the view. And then this giant guy just comes right up to me and he goes, Fina? I was like, oh. He's like, it's me. It's Bob Whitfield. And I'm like, no way. We were in the same draft class, first round. He went to Atlanta. He played like 15 years. And I spent the next 25 minutes talking to Bob. And I mean, I hadn't talked to him literally since the combine.
That's cool.
And then after we played him once or twice, handshake after the game kind of thing. And I think, that's why the players now are so lucky, because they can just catch up with everybody. Me, I have to remember first who I wanted to catch up with. And then you're so separated by time and experience that it's like, you send the first text, hey, Bob, how's it going, man? Great seeing you. Yeah, man, great to see you too. All right, we have nothing else to talk about.
Crickets. When I saw the first picture roll and you were in it, Alyssa was in it, Warlock was in it, and then Spence was in it, I immediately was just gripped with, why didn't I do whatever I had to do to get there?
Yeah. Well, you should go anyway, even if it isn't Detroit. Isn't Detroit next year?
Kansas City.
So
Kansas City.
So we went to lunch, and we're sitting there, and we saw this other couple over there, looked like a father and daughter. And I said, after lunch, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to just sit down with them and BS. And they were like, oh my God, they're from Jamestown. Their daughter lives in Buffalo now, and just having a great time. And then we got up to take that picture that you saw. I think the first one with the Bills.
The flag. Yep.
The flag or tablecloth. And it was right behind, the kitchen was right behind us. And this table just starts screaming and screaming. And it was like a family reunion, all Buffalo people at the table right there. So then I sat down with them. We were totally BSing, passed the AFC Championship ring around.
Every time.
Yeah, man. Why not? I mean, that's what makes it so much fun, dude. I mean, I can't control who they draft, what they do for a game plan, and how they play. But I know the people that I'm going to meet are going to be so much fun. And they are, and no one disappoints.
One of these days, and I've been there when he's done it with strangers, he passes that ring around. One of these days, somebody's going to do a sleight of hand thing, and the ring is just going to be gone. You'll be like, where's my ring? Who had it last?
It's the risk you take, right?
It is the risk you take, but I definitely...
Thanks for putting that idea out there. You're a hell of a guy. Wow. And you're talking about me being Italian and having a criminal enterprise. That's the Irish mob right there.
I never said you had a criminal enterprise.
Oh, that's one of the offline abuses that Joe lays on me, everybody.
Here we go. So there is a question
My
for
wife
you.
was all worried, like, is he going to see the bed in the background? I'm like, yeah, probably, but it's all right.
Oh, now I see now that you said it, I didn't even notice it until you said that. I see the headboard, but
people are like that though. They'll like freeze frame stuff and blow it up.
Freeze frame, Jay Giles band.
Oh, that whole record was really good. They were really good.
For those of you that don't know, John is a huge music fan, as am I. I'm a musician as well, but not if you move the mirror, that's going to change. Okay, got you. Move it on the frame. Yeah. So there is a question from Matt C. Matt C. That just is to remind everybody that you can super chat John. It just basically comes up colored if you've got a question or you want to make a comment. Fina, do you remember a player named Nails? Jamie Nails is who he's talking about, number 74. My dad got me his jersey. It goes all the way past my knees when I put it on. I'm thinking he means still. Jamie was a big old boy. Jamie, Jerry Crafts. Who else were there? House Ballard. I mean, it was House Ballard, and then Crafts was the condo, right? And then Jamie was a big old boy too.
Well, yeah. So it was Howard House, and then like, what's the only thing smaller than a house? It was like condo. That's how he got his nickname.
Right.
Yeah, I remember Jamie. Good dude. I think he's doing pretty well. I was talking to Ruben Brown. I was like, hey, where's Marcus Spriggs? Where's Jamie? And he said, yeah, man, guys are doing good. The guy I need to catch up with those, Robert Hicks, Mississippi State. That's why I'm a fan of Mississippi State, because of Robert Hicks and Eric Moulds.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And they got great uniforms.
Yes. So let's do this. Let's move on to the task at hand, which is talking about the same thing that everybody is talking about right now as it pertains to content creators, which is the actual NFL draft and the picks that the Buffalo Bills made, which means feelings for you when you did you have any what's the word I'm looking for? Did you have any idea or of who they were going to take, or did you have a want? Like, did you have a wish list? Because you and I did not talk before the draft. So did you have hey, this is who I feel they should go with before the draft happened, before the first round?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much I was terrible in my draft. No, I was okay. I mean, I wanted cornerback flat out.
Yeah, me too.
And I think there's always, there's a number of reasons why you got to go for it. Tre'Davious White. I mean, yeah, people come back from injuries, but you don't know how long that the real recovery takes. And you got to hedge your bet and look to the future. And I think that was a wise pick. And then I think, listening to what Big Ball and Bean said about best available that fit into what they felt were needs, I thought they did a nice job. And to me, the linebacker position was on my list. I was cornerback, wide receiver, O-line, linebacker, in no real particular order except for the cornerback. And I was almost thinking, go corner.
Right.
Even though a lot of them were dropping off, but you notice though that when you get into the free agent signings, you got a lot of cornerbacks. Wide receiver, I think they. I mean, it looks pretty solid to me.
Let's get there one by one. So let's start with the first one, which is Kair Elam. Kair Elam. So the Bills are at 25, holding pat, or you think they're going to. Gets to pick 23. Trade comes in. First thought, were you like, whoa, we're moving up two spots? That was a little strange to me. And what's funny, and I said this last night on the Overreaction show, when I first saw what it took, they had to give up their fourth. I was like, oh, that's no big deal. That's worth it. Whoever they're going to take, or whatever we got, blah, 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 that fourth round pick was worth moving up 2 spots. And then by day 3, I was like, man, there's some really good players available. I wish we had our 4th round pick. But what'd you feel? Did you have any history or?
Well, you say that, but it's like a smorgasbord, except they only give you like the plates that go into the teacup.
Right.
So I mean, it's easy to look at the entire cafeteria and just I'll take that.
Fair.
So I think it actually bodes well for the mindset that this team has a direction. They know what they want. They're going to go get it. And the way they explained it, and it could be revisionist history, who knows? But that's the guy they wanted the whole time. So if you're getting close,
so they say, probably.
Well, that's what I would say,
with some understanding that they're not going to get, Sauce Gardner. They're not going to get those guys Stingley. They're not going to get those guys to the top. So there's a foregone conclusion that we're not going to be able to touch those guys. So yeah, this is who we want, right?
Right. And the draft has 7 rounds, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not.
And we had 8 picks.
At one point, we had 10.
I get that. But what I'm saying is we got overserved at the smorgasbord, right? I mean,
indeed.
By all argument's sake, you're supposed to get 7 picks, and we got 8.
Right.
And I think that addressing the linebacker. Oh, okay. So that's my deal on Kaiir Elam. But what I loved was the guy's interview with the notebook. I mean, that's clutch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the type of commitment. And I think that that they may not have known that he had his workbook, or maybe they knew when they interviewed him the first time, but just the fact that somebody has that, and this is the type of people that they're looking for,
right?
And that he might do that somewhere and bring it somewhere else, and they're like, yeah, whatever, we don't care, you're in the NFL now, son. But I think in our environment, like I run it, in our environment, I think that is just really shows how well he'll mesh with this kind of blue collar, work a day, but friendly and welcoming team environment.
Yeah, he so I would say there was obviously, I'm guessing you saw the video, that's how you knew that, and to see Brandon Beane's face and Sean McDermott's face when he pulled out his defensive game plan, like his playbook, out of his duffel bag or his backpack or whatever he had in that interview with the Bills, they clearly were impressed by that. The Bills have a what's the word I'm looking for? They've got a profile and a player that they like, which is 20 years old, young, super talented with a high ceiling. Josh Allen, Tremaine Edmonds, and this kid as well. When they go for somebody in the first round, they like somebody that is younger and has a huge upside, which this kid does. Now, let me ask you this question, because this has been highly debated, not highly, it's been moderately debated post-draft, but hasn't been talked about enough, I don't think, pre-draft, which is 2020. His film was great. So Kaiir Elam had, like, he was like the best, like the number 2 corner in the entire all of college football in 2020. Then he sprained his knee in 2021, early in the season, like game 3, and struggled for the rest of the year, which kind of sunk his draft stock a little bit. Where are you on this notion that if you're going to watch tape, or you're going to watch film, or you're going to judge a player by like what you see on film, you should include all of the film, not just one season of the film?
Yeah, well, if you want to talk about the injury, to me, I guess I'd want to know a little bit more about the injury, because there are so many injuries that, you know.
Well, basically, he was a shutdown corner. So in 2020,
right? No, but my point is, if the injury is something that you don't think, or that you've always seen people recover from, then it doesn't bother me at all. And if you put stuff
right
on tape as a junior or a sophomore, and then, you know, he's hurt as a junior, but you've seen it on tape, then I don't have a problem with that. There's no way that they didn't see that.
Well, so what happened basically is he fits both schemes. He can play press man and zone, which I think you know. Mm-hmm. In 2020, he was a dominant cornerback in the NFL in a major college division. In 2021, after he hurt his knee, he started clutching and grabbing a little bit more. He was behind a little bit, so clearly he sprained his knee. So obviously, that's not a little injury. It's not a rib injury. It's not a shoulder injury. It's not an elbow injury. When you have a sprained knee as a corner, it's kind of a big deal. So I guess the question is more stock probably needs to be given to all of his film or all of his years versus, just his senior season or the last season that he played, I guess, right?
Oh, are you kind of arguing against the people that passed on him? Like, why?
Yeah, or just the draft.
Are you saying that we should have looked at him in the second round?
No, I'm saying we should have probably graded him as high as the Bills did. The Bills, Brandon Beane said he was the last player.
That he had as a first round.
And he had said earlier in a press conference a couple days before, he only had 16 first round grades on players. So that says a lot, right? So my guess,
it really does. And I don't think most people think about it that way. You're like, well, there's 32 teams. You got to have 32 quality picks. Right. Well, it's pretty awesome to think about that. And again, I mean, hopefully it's true. I mean, they can say whatever they want. I'll believe it. I'll believe anything right now. I mean, team's looking good, right?
Right. Jessica Tennis in with a super chat real quick. Thank you, Jessica, for being a part of the show. Heard for the draft, New England was using a Ouija board.
Well, also and to be honest with you, I went down to play bingo at the church on Sunday, and our bingo raffle ball spinner was gone. So it could have been that too.
It's
Ouija
so funny.
board.
So real quick, just thoughts on a fit. I think when we talk about character, he's got it. When we talk about stop. Just stop. When we talk about, I'm going to ignore you. When we talk about talent, he's got it. When we talk about measurables, he's got it. He's fast. He's long. He basically is that quick corner that we kind of have been missing in that backfield. Levi, not super fast. Dane Jackson, not super fast, despite being very good tacklers, technicians, as far as that goes, in being a defensive back. He's got a lot of those assets. What do you feel his fit is going to be? Do you see up and to the right for this kid?
Yeah, I think that's going to flesh itself out a little bit. I mean, they probably would tell him, look, I think that we probably need to play a little bit more press, frankly. And that's the rub on press is when you get beat on press and you get beat by a step, what's your recovery speed, right? That's what made Thomas Smith so good when he was with the Bills, right? So he'd press a guy, they're going to get free. And then how do you recover? How do your hips flip? And, what does your footwork look like? They talked a little bit about he had some longer footwork on occasion that they'll tighten up, but I think that's really where we're going to look at it. And if Tre'Davious White comes back and he's not quite as where he wants to be, then you're going to want a press corner and a soft corner. And, you're going to be able to kind of float guys around a little bit based on the position groupings that you see on the field.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's move to the second round. And you and
I
talked.
The last thing I'll say about that is, you get, and sometimes in college, when you are the level of player that Elam is, you are just put there because you can basically lock down their best player and then have 10 guys play football against 9 over there. Right.
It's what we do with Trey.
Right. So in the NFL, though, he's going to get a much broader utilization in the beginning. Like they're going to want to enhance all of his skill sets. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Brandon, I'm going to throw this up because it's relevant. Brandon Stevens says, if we were playing press in those last 13 seconds, or those last 13 seconds wouldn't have mattered. I hate prevent. There was more breakdowns than that, but that was part of it. The guys were just
you never press in that situation, but I think it probably wasn't wise to be 20 yards off the ball. I mean, they're going back. I'm sure Leslie Frazier has got I would have 100 bar napkins with sketched out defensive alignments for that never again kind of thing scenario.
Right.
Anyway, round 2.
Yeah, round 2. So you and I talked at length and have for a couple of years now, just about the running scheme, the offensive line, the backs themselves. What is the problem? Is it one of the three? Is it two of the three? Is it three of the three? It seems like this offensive, or at least the former offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach, would try to force zone. And then finally this past season, they gave up. We're going to go to pin and pull. And I know you talked about it being a hybrid. It's not really pin and pull, but then they started getting production out of it. Well, they draft James Cook, who I'm ecstatic that they have, but they say that his best fit is in a wide zone scheme. So,
well, you're also not mentioning that we have a new offensive line coach.
And Cromer, that's right.
Right. So there could be a little bit about, how do I say it? Like, everybody knows how to block zone, but there's coaching points to everything, right? And philosophy. So much in the way that you deliver things as a coach translates into the type of nuance you get on the field, right? Nuance coaching leads to nuance playing, even though it's hard to kind of extract it when you're watching a video or replay. So I think a guy like Cook, though, he's a runner. Now, he might have excelled in Georgia's zone running scheme, but I think by and large, they're a zone running team. Yeah. And the bigger bodies that you have, I think the more you see zone in college, right? Because, I mean, you're Georgia, for God's sakes. You're 300 pounds across the line. You're going to dominate some of the lesser teams, right?
Right.
So I think it's a good pick. I mean, it just gets so kind of dicey, right? You got two guys. One's a second rounder. One's a third. Is it second and third? What was Singletary?
Is it third?
Or is it third and fourth?
Third, both Moss and Singletary were third round draft picks.
Is that right? Yeah. So, I mean, what do what's the argument? Okay, we moved up around. They're going to be what percentage better, right? As opposed to the scheme, as opposed to the coaching. So I guess it's a good pick, but I don't know. How do you feature a guy and an unfeature another guy? I mean, what's the mix going to be? So you can say there was a need, but without letting somebody go, I guess you create competition in camp and make sure that everybody's as healthy as you can be down to the last cut.
Right.
So I didn't see it quite as a position of need, but you're looking at an incredible program. You're looking at a great athlete. So if it's best available after Elam and he can catch the ball in space and he can move really well and he can line up in the slot, okay, because Moss can't do that, and Singletary is certainly limited, wouldn't be able to do that. So that makes it a really good pick.
He brings a completely different dynamic than both of the guys that we have. And obviously, Matt Breida's gone. He's not here. Antonio Williams is gone. He went to the Giants. But he brings speed. He brings, if he has a step on you, forget it. He's gone. He's got a burst that the other two don't have. Now, Singletary has the ability, as we've seen and witnessed, to make a guy miss in a phone booth, which is incredible because he's short, squatty, and thick. So to think that he can kind of make guys miss the way that he does is impressive. If he had the burst that even James Cook had, he would be probably one of the best running backs in the NFL. But Cook is going to bring a different element completely, which I think this team needs. And we're faced in a situation now, in my opinion, where in order to get longevity out of Josh Allen, they're going to have to stop having him run quarterback sweeps, quarterback draws. I'm not saying to remove him from the player that he is, but it's the Steve Young effect. Give me the Steve Young game plan or the Steve Young arch versus the Jim Kelly arch. What shortened Jim Kelly's career was getting destroyed as a Houston Gambler for the first couple of years of his career as a professional quarterback. He got annihilated on that team, and it shortened his career. I don't want that to happen to Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, I think, has been hit. I think I heard it on the radio the other day. He was hit last year more times than any other quarterback in the league. Now, he's big. He can absorb those hits, but still, every hit takes its toll. So at some point, they're going to have to come.
I get where you're going. Right? We need a run threat.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's see it get coached. Let's see it get implemented and see it get done. Now, look, we got a new guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got a new guard in the mix. Spencer Brown.
You're talking about Roger Saffold. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Left guard. He's going to play left guard.
Spencer Brown is a year older.
Yep. Year older. Yep.
Rick Bates is a year more experienced.
Yep. He's moving to right guard.
Right.
Yep. And we picked up the Tennessee tackle from last year as well. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And we drafted a tackle.
Somebody put it in the comments section there.
I don't remember where it was, but if you want to roll back to it, you can find it.
I don't either. Oh, was it in there?
But I can Google it.
It's so fluid, man. I can't remember anything anymore.
I can Google it here in a second, but for all intents and purposes, I mean, they're stacked at tackle, and the guy they drafted is a guy that played right and left. They love those versatile, as much as you and I have talked about it. We talked about it with Ruben, that it's not easy to go from right to left. They love those guys.
God, that guy's a monster, but yeah, I could see him in a zone scheme, putting him at guard.
Yeah. Queensberry from the Titans is who they
just okay. I actually called one of his games when he played for San Jose State. I called a game there. Yeah. And I was like, this kid's going to be a player. And his history, right? He had cancer.
Yes.
And he was out he missed 1 or 2 seasons.
Yep.
But I forgot we even loaded up with him. I think he's a good player. I think he's also a capable guard. To be honest with you.
I don't know how that necessarily translates, but yeah. So just getting back to James Cook, couple quick things for me. There's a lot of conversation, and I would love to know your thoughts about him not having the body type to be an RB1. Meanwhile, his brother, Dalvin, is an inch shorter than him and only weighs 9 pounds more than him. Now, this kid is young. My guess
what's
is
the body type? Like, what did I miss?
They just say that his frame isn't big enough, and because he weighs 199 pounds, that he's not big enough to kind of take that beating. But I would think that he could put 10 pounds on pretty easy.
We'll see. When I got to Buffalo, I weighed 286, and I played at 310.
Right.
I thought you meant body type, like he's an hourglass or something.
No, he's definitely no. He's got. So I think Bruce Nolan talked about it last night on my show.
10 pounds. I mean, like, are you kidding me? He's 6'1", right?
No, he's 5'11".
5'11". All right. I don't know. I mean, that's like 1 pound per foot.
Are you going to do math on the show?
Is that 2 pounds per foot? Sorry, 2 pounds per foot. Almost 1 3/4 pounds per foot. Like, really? Well, I don't know.
Bruce was
to me. Go ahead.
I was going to say Bruce was on the show last night, and he was talking about, like, in the body type, what they look for, what NFL GMs and head coaches and whatever look for is the thighs, right? I got the thighs that'll cross your eyes, the Barry Sanders thighs, which Singletary has. Singletary has those thighs, and Dalvin, his brother, has those big monstrous thighs, whereas he doesn't fit that mold. He's more of a probably Raheem Mostert type body style or a Matt Breida type body style.
Look, you could stop talking about all this malarkey. I'm just like, there are plenty of guys that have succeeded with smaller thighs. I don't know what to say.
I agree with you.
I know you agree with me. Then why are we even talking about this? I'm like, oh, he's not RB1 because the circumference of his thighs is only 36 and it's got to be 38.4.
Dude, that's the NFL. You're talking.
I understand that.
Went through this process. Like my hands are bigger than Kenny Pickett's, and people don't think he can play quarterback. It's like, well, I can't play quarterback, and I got big hands. What are you talking about?
I don't know how big your hands have to be. Can you throw the ball?
They right, and that's the question. The minutia, right? It's about
and it gets to the point where it's ridiculous, right? So I have a big hand expanse, but then anybody who's like a quarter inch shorter than mine is like, oh, his tiny hands.
Right. Well, it gets into the ridiculous.
But that's also why, look at Brandon Beane, right? They look at Elam's family. They look at he's young, right? They looked at the type of guy he presented as. Yeah, I mean, they're doing the same thing with Cook, I imagine.
Oh, yeah,
right?
sure.
He had to be, well, let's pull this guy into the meeting. Well, he doesn't have RB1 body type. Let's see what he says, and then like they meet him and they're like, he's person one. So that's good enough because.
Right. Well, his talent, I would think that his tape won, regardless of what anybody says. But when you're talking about the minutia, right? And somebody was joking about the Patriots in the comment section a minute ago, and the reality,
easy to do.
Right? I mean, they took a guard, and I talked about this a lot. I hate the benefit of the doubt that was given to Bill Belichick. They make that pick, they draft Cole Strange, and everybody's like, like. Everybody, I don't understand what's happening. Why did they take Cole Strange, who's a guard, who everybody's projected like post 100? Why did they just take this guy in the first round? And then literally 5 minutes later, everybody's like, well, we all know he's going to be good. He's going to be a good player. So it'll be a good pick because he's going to be a good player. And I'm like, time out. There's no guarantees in this. If there's a crapshoot in the world, it's the NFL draft. If everybody knew that Cole Strange was going to be good, he wouldn't be ranked 110 or 104 or 100. He'd be ranked 25. If you knew he was going to be good, and he took an interior offensive lineman. Not only did he overreach for an interior offensive lineman, it's just the minutia of it. Why do they?
Yeah, that's weird.
Why do they get so deep? And so it just, the whole thing is strange. Like the Kenny Pickett's thing, because his hand was, I think it was 9.5. He has a 9.5 inch hand. And it's like, so all of a sudden he threw the football all over the yard at Pitt, but now all of a sudden he can't. You're going to measure. Now all of a sudden he can't throw a football. It's like, I don't at the NFL level. I understand the fumble situation. Here we go. What do we got?
So, is it? It's like tip to tip, right?
Tip to tip. Yep.
I mean, I'm like 10.
Yeah. I don't have a ruler.
It's metric though, too.
Here.
I can do the metric board. Is that easier for you?
Measure mine.
Metrics and tens.
Measure mine.
I got my tool bag here too.
I'll have to shoot you a message. I know. Yeah. So regardless, that's what they do. The shuttle.
I know. But I think like you got to start looking that as a baseline. So if you see somebody that is like, all right, they've got these measurables, so we think that they're going to end up in somewhere in the second round. Well, to me, you got to build in a margin of error, 10 picks in either direction, at least, maybe 15 on the high end and maybe 5 to 10 toward the lower round on the other end, right?
Right,
And then
right.
for a number of reasons, I don't really think that GMs and everybody and coaches are, as committed to the measurables as people who write columns are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then secondly, it's the fit.
Yep.
So like, well, we're not going to take a running back because everybody was already drafted, or there's nobody in this draft that fits the Adonis mold.
Right.
So we're not taking a running back. Forget it. We're going to wait 10 years to win the Super Bowl because we don't have the guy that fits the measurable. It's just lunacy.
It is. So let's move on.
Tell me what measurable Thurman Thomas fit.
Well, clearly the 2 knee surgeries didn't do him any benefits in the draft process.
No, I get that.
Yeah, but and that's not an unheard of story either. There's a lot of guys that were injured coming out of college or had been injured, and a lot of teams passed on them, and they came out and had fantastic careers. But there's also, it's the whole thing. Stefan Diggs was a 5th round draft pick. He's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Like, he was a 5th round draft pick, and yet you look at all the guys that are drafted super high that are quote unquote can't miss players that bust out.
I go back to, I think, finding something in their past that gave them some adversity early on. So I don't know if you read this little piece, or I think it was, I don't know where I read it. Kyer Elam, father played, uncle played, right? Father and uncle, right? Yep. And when he was a freshman or 8th grader, both father and uncle saw him on the field, and they were kind of like, you may want to consider golf or chess,
Right.
So you can't tell me that kids don't feel that. They don't hear it. They don't get it from a coach, or, if you're trying to steer your child to a different activity, it's not because they're great at the one you're steering them away from.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a chip, right? Josh Allen has a chip on his shoulder.
Big chip.
I mean, huge chip. I had a chip on my shoulder.
Another MO for this football team is NFL legacy players. So this staff loves guys whose fathers played in the NFL. Isaiah Hodgins' dad played in the NFL. Obviously,
Bruno Fina.
I was just gonna say, and there's another one coming. There's another one coming whose dad played in the NFL and played obviously for the Buffalo Bills. Let's move on to and his name is escaping me.
Terrell Bernard.
Shakir. No, Khalil Shakir.
Oh, you're skipping the linebacker from Baylor, which I'll just say I watched some film on him.
Oh, okay, good.
And I think it's a really cool fit. You got to look at Matt Milano, a little older now, right?
Yep.
And then you look at Tremaine Edmonds. Where is he going to fit? Like, what's going to happen? He's got to have a breakout, incredible year, in my opinion. In my opinion, he's kind of in a year where Ed Oliver was last year.
Yeah.
Like, Tremaine shows up, but I think it's with a little bit more flash, it's gonna bode him well. But what I like about this pick is they talked a lot about him being able to transition from strong safety to a flying linebacker. And I think if we could have used anything on that very last play of last season, might be a guy who could run a little better. And he also has the ability to rush. So we can go to, if you don't agree, we'll fight.
I do.
Later.
Well, we're definitely not going to fight because I'm old and fat.
All right. Khalil Shakir.
No. I want to back up to your point.
Oh,
so
okay, go.
He is a mirror of Milano. He does shoot gaps inside the offensive line well. There's a translation for him to potentially play 4-3, be that third linebacker in 4-3 setups when the Bills do play them, which is not very often. However, it needs to be said, he is not going to be the replacement for Tremaine Edmonds. So if anybody thinks
no, I didn't say that.
Not you. I'm talking about the people in the comments and the people in podcast land that are going to listen to this show. He is not expected to replace Tremaine Edmonds. So if that's what you think, the Bills just drafted Tremaine Edmonds' replacement. That is not who this guy is going to be.
Different. They're totally different body types.
They are. Indeed.
One's LB1, one's LB10, one's LB1I. I get lost. Khalil Shakir.
I just wanted to get to him because he's a flash player. Like, and what I mean by flash is did you watch any of his highlight film?
I did watch some of the highlight film. I obviously I'm already a huge fan of his mom, right? She's coming. She said that if I get to sit with her, I have to bring the hot cocoa. So
Wait. What are we talking about right now?
Well, I was just saying his mom was all excited on Twitter, and I was like, I want to sit next to Mona. And she's like, just bring the hot cocoa.
Come on, this happened?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Anyway, so I look at him like flash player, like Beasley with more speed underneath routes.
Yes.
He's got to learn. I think probably there's a lot to learn playing slot in the NFL as opposed to in college.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is you gotta get the Ouija board and get a ghost to like pull fear out of you, because
2 Ouija board references in one show.
Well, I did it for you, Joe, because you can't stop looking at this. What do you think? Flash player? I think he's going to be a guy.
He's a human highlight reel. He contested balls, body control in the air. I can tell you from having conversations with Bills wide receivers that, the Bills covet guys who learn all the positions. And by that, what I'm saying is the Bills playbook, specifically on offense for the wide receivers, is one of the hardest in the league. There's a couple of guys that can play all the positions, and I'm not going to name names. And then there's a couple of guys that only basically know their position. If you basically pay attention to what you've watched in games, you can notice who plays their position and what guys kind of move around. This is another one of those guys. They can bring him in. He's smart. He's got a huge football IQ, and they can get him to learn the playbook and plug him in at the X, Y, or Z, wherever they want him to play. I don't necessarily think that this year is his year. Jamison Crowder's on a 1 year. Isaiah McKenzie's on a 2 year, but they can get out of it after one. My guess is this is going to be a growth year for him.
No question about it.
Yeah,
I agree. Punter, happy to have a punter. I love the T-shirt. I mean, come on. I saw that just before the show. I almost fell down laughing. That was amazing. Punt God. Yeah.
So I'm excited to have it's. I've said this before. It's not standard operating procedure. We've had kickoff specialists before. Why can't we have a holder specialist and keep Matt Hawk on this football team at a league minimum to hold? Because even Brandon Bean said he is an elite holder. Mm-hmm. And Matt Areza has never held before. Holded it. At San Diego State, he was the place kicker, so he never held ever. So this is something he's going to have to learn, which could be a problem for him.
We have backup quarterbacks for that too, don't we?
I was thinking about this today while I was driving. You would be the one to tell. I think the reason that backup quarterbacks don't do it anymore is because they get pulled from practice, and they don't want to pull. They want those 3 dudes. The punter, the kicker, and the long snapper.
Damn you, Joe!
Over there doing their thing. Damn me, what did I do?
You're right.
Meanwhile, they want to keep Frank Reich around during practice, right?
Yeah. I guess we did it when the time was right. I don't know.
Well,
I never really paid attention to it. I mean, if it was the backup quarterback, then he had to be there. So you just build your practice to make sure your guy is there. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems so. I would say that it's
maybe they're going to send him to a camp.
I don't think that there's a golden path to him making necessarily the team. He's got a very good shot of making the team. Probably 95.5 that he makes the team, but he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to learn to hold, or they're going to have to find somebody else who can do it until he figures out how to hold.
Well, hell, he could punt better than Hack could punt, for God's sake.
He can definitely boot the crap out of the football.
So I didn't look at this kid, Christian Benford, at all from Villanova. Did you?
I did not. So I have not gotten super deep into the players as far as that goes, as far as the draft. And I have the whole.
But again, 2 cornerbacks in the first round, right? We got 2 linebackers.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, this kid from Vatek, Luke Tenuta. Mm-hmm. Holy cow!
Big dude.
Yeah. Dude. He's going to be. Whoever is the strength and conditioning coach of the Buffalo Bills is going to have a field day with this guy.
It's you know who it is.
Yeah. I don't remember. Well, it's not the same one from when I was there, for God's sake.
No, it's right at the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it.
My point is, there's a lot to mold with this guy.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to see him get his feet really good, his pad level.
Shiano's the strength and conditioning coach.
His pad level lower, flexibility. I mean, I see him, if he makes the team, which I think he will, but he's got to play guard.
I think he's too big for guard. Isn't he
No, I don't think so.
Is he
Not if we're
6'8"
going
as
to
well?
run zone scheme. Did I see his butt? Is that what you said?
I did not say. Did I see his butt?
Gosh, keep it clean. It's a family show. So embarrassing.
Oh dear Lord, why do I subject myself to this stuff? I'm looking for what was his name again? Give me his name.
Luke Tenuta. He's going to be an honorary Italian.
Draft profile. Live television here, ladies and gentlemen. Draft combine prospect Luke Tenuta. He had a 5.52 prospect grade. I don't know what that means, and I've got an ad playing right now.
Anyway, he's a big old hunk of clay.
6'8", 319, 32 and 7/8.
That 319. I don't know how accurate that was.
His hands are an eighth of an inch bigger than yours, in case you wanted to know.
Oh, how did I ever play?
I don't know why they drafted you in the first round. You should have been a 7th rounder for sure.
Well, back when I was drafted, hands were much smaller. Balin Spector, linebacker, Clemson. I didn't watch him. I watched a little bit. He flies around. I mean, good program. I think competitive program in a marginal conference. But Dabo Swinney he reminds me a little bit of McDermott, right?
Yeah,
you want those kinds of guys, right?
Yep,
so that's good. I'm speeding through this because we're running out of time, but I wanted to do a shout out. Not that anybody's listening, but how about Bruno's teammate Alec Anderson from UCLA?
There it is. Yep.
Doing the modified table crashing. I thought that was hilarious. Did you see the Babes? The Babes? You know the Babes.
The Babes.
Babes posted his Instagram. Did you see that one?
I think I saw it, yes.
Where he's holding his belly.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Like he's pregnant.
The season is kicking.
Yes.
Genius.
That was funny. That was good.
And then I haven't looked at anybody else on the list, but position-wise, right? So we ended up with 2 offensive linemen plus Quisenberry and Saffold, right? So 4 overall.
Yep.
We got another running back, and then 4 wide receivers all told, or 5. How many receivers did we draft? We drafted
1 wide receiver.
1 wide receiver, and we signed 4.
Correct.
Brigham Young. I'll tell you, those guys are poorly behaved. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
And then I thought we signed a kid from UB.
I don't know. As far as to the practice squad, I haven't seen the final practice squad roster yet. I was kind of busy.
Yeah, I might be missing one.
Yeah. So
okay. By the way, favorite draft interview, day 1, day 2, whatever. Who was your favorite interview?
It's gonna be Elam for me.
None of our guys overall.
Overall.
Elam's was fantastic, by the way, but
I don't know that I have one overall. I haven't seen all of them necessarily. You've got one preloaded.
Yeah,
who's yours?
Devin Lloyd.
Oh, really? What happened?
Parents both in the Navy. Got up, talked, and then he talks, and you're like, this kid's outstanding.
Nice.
I mean, it was just awesome.
I'll have to look it up.
I was just like, these are like super impressive people.
Nice.
I feel minimized. Now, for some reason, if you go back and you listen to Devin Lloyd's parents talk, and by the way, I don't think that anybody was like embarrassing like we've seen in the past. Like, was there anyone that you were like, egad,
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, there's the one of the cringiest moments wasn't even in a. Well, I guess it was. It was. Oh my gosh, what was his name? Big offensive lineman. His brother played too. His name totally escapes me. And they asked him. They were just talking to him right after he got drafted. And he said, "I'm really proud to be a Buffalo." And I was like, "You mean a Bill?" So that was probably the cringiest moment I've ever had. But there's
but nothing. I mean, that wasn't like, family embarrassing you. I thought all the
No.
family celebrations were awesome.
Well, James Cook's was a little awkward. So if I may
I
add,
heard about this.
so
I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, just because I have spent a lot of my life in the production world. Go figure. I'm a podcaster now, and I do all this stuff, and I've got a whole bunch of like rack gear sitting over here.
I thought it was a
So,
vodcast.
so whatever you want to call it. So basically, they cut to James Cook's house early, and I promise you that everybody was having fun and getting loud. And he was told, "Wait for the cue. We're going to cue you when the camera's going to cut." So he's standing there like expecting to hear them go, and we're going to, 3, 2, whatever, getting ready to cut to them. And people are getting loud. So like they cut early and he's telling everybody to be quiet so he can hear. Shut up so I can hear. Shut up. And then they cut away and then they cut back to it and everybody's cheering and losing their minds. Just like they're supposed to be.
Why can't you tag me in that on Twitter? I'd love to see that.
I'll find it for you. But yeah, it's people thought that he was upset that he got drafted to the Bills. And it's like, no,
Okay,
that was the team he wanted to be drafted to.
Oh, you know what? He's going to be a great player.
He is.
I want to know what you're seeing out in the Twitterverse and what your opinion is of the opinions of our draft. Like for me, I'll give you my quickie. My overall is, I don't care who you draft. I'll tell you in 18 months if they're worth the shit.
For sure.
So I never I'm never going to think I know more than Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier, right? I'm not that guy.
Sure.
So if they draft somebody, they're drafting by need and they believe in a guy. But what's the reaction out there in space about our draft from the most skeptical of people?
It varies.
The people you would expect.
I've seen a grade of a C on the Bills. I've seen anything anywhere from a B to a C, just tweets. I also saw on Good Morning Football today, I don't remember which guy it was, but one of them said that they felt, it might have been Schrager, felt that the Bills had the best draft, like out of everybody. And not saying that they amassed the best players. The Jets are going to be in contention for that, as well as it escapes you. There's another. Is it the Vikings? There's another team that had a really, really solid, amazing draft as well. Yeah. But his point was the Bills are already a Super Bowl contender. And they went out and they solved the problems that they had with guys that they can plug and play right away. So in his mind, he felt they had the best draft.
You're right. But sometimes you get I wanted this guy, we passed on him, and then so they can be right in 3 years and repost it.
Sorry, I'm just posting my phrase while the streams land. Love it.
Nice.
Love it. So, but what did you think? I mean, how did you feel that it graded out? And then we'll get out of here.
Like I said, I don't grade it. Do I appreciate the position groups that they went after? I think they did the right thing. Yeah, they have a vast degree of confidence in who they have ready to go at offensive line because everybody wanted offensive line. They addressed the defensive line in the offseason.
Free agency. Yeah.
In free agency, right? Yep. So I don't know. I mean, you picked up the corner. You got three corners in the draft and free agency now. Quarterback, we're set. I mean, you
and I might be going through a table next year for charity.
Oh my God, where do you want to do it?
It'd have to be in Buffalo.
Where in Buffalo?
Just so everybody knows, if the Bills win the Super Bowl, John has committed to going through a table. I don't know who's going to pick you up.
We're going to charge admission, and we'll donate to
charities.
We'll donate to a charity in Buffalo of my choice, and
we'll have to get Jeremy Kelly involved.
In
the committee. Yep.
Yeah. And maybe we do different distance, right? How much will you donate to see Fina do it from 30 feet?
30 feet,
but with a pool underneath, like a swimming pool.
I wonder if we can get Spencer Brown to suplex you through a table.
No, we get Spencer Brown to host it with you. What? So you guys live podcast it. I'll leave the booth and Spencer will come in and then he'll rate me on my technique.
Yeah,
this could.
We'll have to have 3 ambulances standing by.
You know what? This was already stupid, but now it's stupid with 4 O's.
It's true. With that, we're going to get out of here. Any final thoughts before I close this out?
Yeah, I mean, my final thought on the draft is before it started, I drank a big old glass of processed juice,
Yes,
and
you
I'm
did.
just going to wait and see what the effect is.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. What about you? Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. The night itself, or the weekend itself, was fantastic. The venue, the Vegas lights, to me, there was a home run, and they should do it in Vegas every single year. I've already said that.
Indoors.
It can be outdoors. I don't mind. I mean,
Indoors.
it's fine. But the Bills draft itself, glad they got a corner. Glad they got James Cook. Excited to see him. I'm super excited for Khalil Shakir. I'm excited for the punter. I'm excited for every guy they got. I would have liked to have seen interior offensive line at 3 instead of Terrell. What's his last name? Bernard.
Yeah.
But other than that one, but my guess is they have a reason for why they did that. So, right. And I'm not necessarily here, as you said, to question them because they know more than me. So overall, I thought it was fantastic.
Awesome.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into and watching the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vodcast Network. I'm your host, Joe Miller, here with my co-host and the man of the hour, as always, John Fina, who's over there playing with this Ouija board for the 3rd time tonight. We've never referenced a Ouija board ever in 2 years. Tonight, you've done it twice, and you've hand motioned it 3 times.
Man, let's get ready. I can't wait for football. I mean, there's no other sports on TV right now. I can't stand it.
Well, the USFL is on, but it's awful. It's absolutely unwatchable.
Oh no, I like that. But there's no other sports. There's no baseball. There's no basketball.
Right. Hockey's over. Other than playoffs.
Over.
Joe Miller, John Fina. We love you guys. We'll see you in a little bit. Go Bills.
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.